Welcome to the Spawn Chunks, episode number 32 for Monday, March 25th, 2019. My name is Joel Duggan, and joining me, as always, is my friend Jonny, but you may know him better as Pixel Riffs Above the Nether. Hello, sir.
Hello, and coming to you from above the Nether live. It's very, very flat up here, as usual. But we are not alone here, and we are joined by. This is probably one of the meatiest shows we're going to have because we are joined by the wonderful MythicalSausage, who you may know from his YouTube channel, The MythicalSausage, where he has about 28,000 subscribers at the last count. You may know him from various other places around the internet, including, in fact, the Spawn Chunks Discord. Mythical has been a patron for a little while, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. And I am very meaty.
Yes, so I've heard. Right, let's do our quick login, and since we've got a guest on this week's show, it's probably a good idea to start with you. So, MythicalSausage, what have you been up to in your Minecraft world this week?
Oh man, lots of stuff. Recently started an SMP about a week ago. It's a live stream only SMP. It's on YouTube. It's awesome. Well, I don't think I've ever seen a group of builders combined. It's almost like Voltron. It's amazing. We got all these people together. We have this huge Minecraft giant organic just walking through the streets. It's super awesome. We have I think our Kalis is starting in April. We got Family Craft Dad, F-Whip, Gemini Tay, Pearlescent Moon, Solidarity Gaming, and System Z. So it's an awesome group.
It's a super group from what it sounds like. Yeah,
I'm surprised they called me out. I was like, oh man, thank you. Okay, are you sure? Are you positive? But no, it's awesome.
You get around as far as SMPs go as well, because of course we play together on the Decidedly Vanilla server. You play with Joel on the Realm of Vaston. Like you've got irons in many fires. It seems like.
Yes, I love spreading the sausage love to multiple servers. And I still to this day, even though you're a cold-blooded murderer and you killed Ulif, I still to this day, I there's a little bit of a grudge I have with you, but at the end of the day, it's okay because you did give me that slime head. So I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey man, I got you that slime head. I feel like the debt has been paid at this stage, and
Water
you have
under the bridge.
You have the Hulk Ulif now, the zombie villager Ulif taking care of that shop.
He's fine. I haven't seen him in a while, but I'll visit him one day. We'll be back. But no, really cool SMP. I've been having a lot of fun. It's live stream only, so we don't have to worry about recording or editing. It's just go with the flow, build, talk with the chat, have fun. So I've been doing that. It's a lot of fun. And also my single player world, getting close to episode 75. So that's like world tour time. I do it every 25th episode, and I'm doing a swampy village. So we're doing like a little witch's kingdom. So I've been doing a lot of that. And I know we're swamp bros. We're both in the swamps. We're neck deep in it right now. So I know you know what that is like.
Certainly are, yeah. No, on my latest live stream, I was working on a little bit of swamp terraforming and building some stuff out there. My swamp seems to have gotten a little bit more Japanese, Chinese, classical architecture kind of inspired. So I've been building this gatehouse that's got like an ornate bridge going across the top, and it's meant to look run down, but every turn I make with the swamp starts to make it look classier and classier. So I'm a little bit worried that the swamp is going to like outpace the rest of the city that I'm building. It's supposed to be like the old rundown, old town kind of district, and instead it's going to look a little bit too classy. But yeah, in the other news from my world is that I died and lost everything in spectacular fashion, and that was actually the subject of a Minecraft Survival Guide episode this week, because on a live stream, I was out in a thunderstorm getting mob heads with charged creepers, and I made the mistake of accidentally attacking a creeper with a trident in self-defense. It snuck up on me, and I was holding down right-click as though to block with my shield, but of course the right-click button was charging to throw the trident instead. And so I let go of it straight into the creeper. Creeper blows up in my face, and then the lightning bolt destroys everything I had in my inventory. So I think that was the first time I've actually died, and like there was nothing I could do about it. And I've died before and been able to recover my stuff, but I respawned probably 20 blocks away, went back there was just nothing. There was a single poppy as well, so it felt like somebody the creeper had just like thrown a flower on the grave as a kind of, I don't know, it was a traumatic experience, and I did that live on stream as well. So I was like, well, we're canceling the plans for the rest of the stream. I've got to get all my stuff back and re-enchant some things. But yeah, the lesson from that is never supercharge a creeper in self-defense. It does not go well.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
that really is unique. Like I've not heard I've heard of, people dying from a creeper blowing up. I've heard of, people die in lava all the time, but like dying from a creeper, but then having the lightning bolt strike immediately after, like that's just, it's right out of like mythology, right? It's like Zeus has chosen that you shall not go any farther.
Basically, I annoyed Thor. Yes, that seems to have been what happened. And I've seen it happen once before on a Tango and Zedaf live stream, but I think one of them used the trident and supercharged the creeper that then blew up the other one. And then I think it was like Tango did that, and then Zedaf's items were gone. But I thought that was just some kind of fluke. I thought something else had happened there. Maybe he'd run away too quickly, and like all of the items had been hanging around for 5 minutes and despawned. But yeah, like no items pop out. The lightning bolt just obliterates them all. So it was wow. Crazy. But I'm glad it happened in a way because A, now I know, and B, it was pretty funny in retrospect because I've got a decent amount of backup gear. I have tons of diamonds. All my gear had mending, so I haven't used diamonds on anything for a while. So it was fine to just make a ton of boots and cycle through the enchantment table until I got Depth Strider and all of the stuff that I like. But yeah, I'm just about geared up now. I lost the 3 mob heads that I'd gathered at that point, and I lost my channeling trident. So next trident, I'm going to put Riptide on it. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going with Riptide this time. The other thing I've done this week is also I've set up my first ever chicken cooker, which seems like a weird thing to not have done at this point in my Minecraft career. But I've always eaten other foods. And I thought it was going to be a good thing for the series, even though it's 104 episodes in at this stage. I thought I may as well teach people how to make a chicken cooker in case they want to start out their world with that. And I managed to design one that has a nice little coop around it, so that's now at the back of my farmhouse, looking pretty.
Nice. I love a good chicken coop. That's awesome. But 104 episodes and no chicken cooker. What happened, bitch?
I started a cow farm day 2. That's what happened. I've been eating steak for days, and more recently, at least, I've been eating cooked fish because I have a guardian farm that drops them through lava first, and I always get cooked fish from that. So I've just got stacks and stacks of that. I figure I may as well eat it. And so for whatever reason, I never really went with chicken. I feel like there are better foods that you can get around the same time that kind of make up for it. And I think the hierarchy of foods in Minecraft is a subject I want to touch on, but I don't think we're going to cover that today. But at some point, we will have the food talk. We know Joel is a food-driven human, so
yes,
I feel like
absolutely.
that's going to be
absolutely. Well, you're talking about fish, and I want fish and chips for dinner tonight, right? I mean, how is fish and chips not a thing that you can do in Minecraft? You can do fish, and you can do potatoes, but you can't do French fries. Like, I want fish and chips.
It makes no sense.
Before I get into what I was doing, I do have a question for Sausage. I know that you've been streaming with the is it the Artisan SMP? Is that the name of it? Yeah. And you've been streaming on YouTube. Now, is Whip streaming on Twitch? Are you guys splitting it up, or is everybody only streaming on YouTube?
It's funny. Whip is the only rogue here that stayed on Twitch for it. But no, yeah, we're all doing it on YouTube. I do believe Whip's still on Twitch doing it. But whenever we raid, we cross the streams.
Oh, nice. That's cool. See, and I think that it's one of those things that I find really interesting because, like, I'm embedded in Twitch. That's kind of where I started. It's kind of where I've built the community and I've learned how to use it. And I never thought about trying to do anything on YouTube. I think we've talked about it on the show before, that the comment section, I mean, obviously you're going to get the viewers that you deserve. So, I mean, when you do, fun, family-friendly content like you do, you're going to get some quality people in the chat. But I find that when I tune into some of the more popular streamers when they are on YouTube, the chat is just, it's really unreadable compared to what I've experienced on Twitch. I'm just curious as to, like, what was the decision that you guys made collectively to stream on YouTube based on? Was it just because that's where your audience is, or?
Yeah, well, I've noticed, like, I've seen like a Mumbo stream. There's no point in even looking at chat at that point or agreeing. It's just insane. But no, the people there have been really, really, really welcoming. A lot of the people. It's really weird though. A lot of the YouTube audience. Not a whole lot go to Twitch. They like staying put in their YouTube pages. So comparatively to like the people that I get on Twitch, I get maybe average stream, maybe like 30, 35, 40 people jumped straight on YouTube. I was getting like 150 concurrents at one point. I was like, I can't handle this chat. It's almost too much. I'm going back to Twitch. But no, I think we just almost like the only reason I did it really is because everyone else was doing it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to follow the crowd here. No, but I just wanted to give it a shot. Give it like a one YouTube exclusive live stream. I'm still doing Twitch for like my single player world. I still do it for like Patreon server tours. But I wanted to keep like one all the people who kind of like stuck by and like waited. Maybe one day he'll stream again on YouTube. Yeah, I just did it for that. But it's good. It's good. The people there have been really, really nice. I haven't had any problem. It's just I don't know. I guess just the community itself has always been like really sweet people in my side. For some reason, I haven't had anyone really get out of line or anything. You have your random person just comes in, just finds a stream. Like it could happen anywhere, but.
Yeah. But they don't stay long, right? And usually, yeah, the community usually takes care of them on their own. Like, you never have to address it. They either just ignore them, or someone says, "Hey, this isn't the spot for that," and you never even see it. But yeah, I know what you mean. That's cool. I'm glad that the community is reflective of the content that you're producing. I ask only because I know next to nothing about Twitch streaming, and I know even less about YouTube streaming. I'm still very much green.
A little bit too. So you gotta now recently. I don't know, something to do with leaving your streams as videos public after like a stream happens. There's something to do with analytics and something to do with watch time. And I've heard the best thing to do once you're done with the stream, leave it unlisted. If you are going to try YouTube streaming, leave it unlisted. Don't make it public. You can leave the playlist listed so people could find the stream later on, but don't have it public, because it affects since if let's say you do a 2-hour, 3-hour stream and it's out there and nobody watches it, or they click on it and they click off, like they're more than likely to stay longer on a stream than on a re-upload.
Oh, like a VOD.
Yeah. So that's what I heard to do is leave it unlisted. Don't publicize it. Just leave it there and have people just be aware that there's a playlist.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why people tend to put their VODs on a second channel.
That's what I do. That's absolutely why I did it, because having a second channel means that for a start, I'm not clogging up my existing channel with 3 hours worth of content that people might not want to watch. And then I can keep my channel just like regimented with curated, edited content every day. I feel like it makes a little bit more sense to keep those things separate. So even though I upload my VODs to YouTube because Twitch deletes them after 14 days, like all of the live content goes to a separate place.
Yeah, I do kind of a mix of the two. I end up recording my videos on Twitch so that my edited YouTube videos are actually just chopped up versions of my Twitch streams. So the stream does eventually get there, but for that very reason, that's why I started doing it, is because I would have like a couple of Let's Play videos that I recorded on my own, and they would be, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then you'd have a stream where I was doing content that I thought was good and worth sharing, but it was like 2.5 hours, and it would kind of be in the middle of my playlist. And there's still some way back early on that are like, episode 10 or 8 or something like that happened to be a live stream. And it's like, well, I don't have the footage anymore, so I'm not going to chop that one up. Mm-hmm. But to go through and move forward, I decided, like, well, I'm going to chop these up so that they're not just big 2-hour dumps. I can actually go ahead and create a small episode out of it. It's a little bit of a harder exit sometimes, depending on where I decide to end the YouTube video. But I think that in general, it allows me to create more content more often by just recording once in the weekend. I can then get, usually 3 or 4 episodes that I can then post somewhere between Monday and Friday on YouTube, which is good. Speaking of, actually, that's what I was up to this weekend. I did some streaming on the Citadel server yesterday, as a matter of fact. And I have been taking tips and tricks from the realm of Vastin and some talented builders like our friend Sausage here. And I don't know how you guys put builds up so fast that looks so detailed and so robust, because I struggled for hours on this bridge. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. I struggled for the last hour on the roof of the towers. The towers themselves and the bridge. I know I just did a bridge not too long ago, but this is different. This is just a straight up footbridge. But what I wanted to do is build bulkier. This is something that I'm seeing a lot more in the realm of Vastin that I wanted to bring over to the Citadel. And so I started off with the pillars of this bridge, and the bridge itself being like 7 blocks wide, even wider with the walls of it. Plus, it's now got like 7 wide towers, 4 of them, 2 on each end. So it feels way more substantial. I'm feeling that the roof is still a lot taller than I want it to be. Like, I'm trying to do these cone-shaped, tower roofs, and I'm getting my butt kicked by them. I know that I've watched Janzi do 1 or 2 on a video, and I need to go back and review it to kind of figure out what he did. But so far, I'm happy with the way that the bridge looks. It looks really solid. And something that I didn't anticipate was, because I made the bridge look so much thicker, it removes the need to have any kind of central support. So you could span a much larger river without having to have some sort of pillar go down into the river, which I thought was really cool. So I'm going to, lesson learned. I think I might try to build a little thicker, a little bit more robust kind of in the future. But I was wondering, when you guys do roofs and things like that for towers or for castles or for something that's a little bit larger, is there any kind of technique or minimum scale that you tend to go to, just out of curiosity?
It really depends on the size of the build first. Like I did recently, I finished up my castle right before I went to my witch's side, and I have purposely on every roof of every tower bit, it's different. So I would just vary it so everything
Nice.
has a different style to it. So I kind of like that because you have a lot of variation, but it really depends on the size of the tower. And where you're really going for. If you're going for like a wizard tower, you really want that high peak, that really exaggerated peak, little overhangs, and varying your slabs and stairs to make almost like a cone. Maybe it's like a small, like defensible tower. So I made like a little barracks once. A very small, stubby tower might be pretty good for that. It really depends really on the size.
Yeah, it's more of a defensible kind of like a gated bridge, but not meant to be too military. It's meant to just kind of like, I didn't want to do castles with battlements. Like I didn't want to have like the little, jaggy parts at the top. I wanted to have like a wooden roof on it. And so I'm thinking more of a cone shape. And I think, I don't know if I've gone too pointy or what. I've got room. I've got 3 other towers to do, and I can probably try different types of roofs. One decision I know that I've made is I want to make one of the towers larger than the others and attach like a gatehouse to that, so that someone might live in there and manage the bridge. So I'm trying to get a little bit deeper into lore and the idea of what's happening with Realm of Vast, and the feeling that I get from that server. That's kind of what I'm trying to bring over. So, but I'm quite happy with the thickness of the build. It was a cool lesson, and I had a really fun time with the chat. I had a couple people suggest some ideas that ended up working out quite nicely. So. But yeah, that's it for me as far as what's going on in Minecraft. But as far as the rest of us, there's been a few breaking news points this week, and we can go over those now. Minecraft 1.10 released for Bedrock, and that adds shields, crossbows, wandering traders, loom and lectern, and Jelly the cat. Pillagers are added, but only available in creative mode, and lots of other stuff added, but still behind the experimental gameplay toggle. I know we also had some other stuff happening in the Java snapshot. I know, Jonny, you were probably more on beat with this than I was. So what's going on in the Java snapshot?
So we had 19W12A/B. The A snapshot tweaked iron golem spawning is what the changelog says, and boy was it a little bit tweaked. There has been a few adjustments to that over the week, but I'll give you a brief overview. So villagers now check that they've slept in a bed and worked within the last day cycle before they check if they need an iron golem. So, for example, now if you're skipping the night, as soon as the villagers get in bed, there's a chance that some of them won't get into bed. Therefore, they could potentially skip the process of needing to make an iron golem because they need sleep and work, much the same as they do with trades. That reduced the iron golem spawn rate, and the necessary gossip value changed. And that was now been rolled back to something a little bit lower so that they spawn a little bit more in the B snapshot. The community is still testing stuff, and apparently Mojang themselves are still testing the actual iron farms that folks like Doc M and the Psycraft guys are designing, and that's very encouraging. From what I understand, Mojang is actually looking at iron farms as something that they want to be doing. There's actual devs reproducing the same iron farms and thinking, okay, how can we make this work? So they're actively looking for feedback about the current mechanics, which you can leave through the usual things, the usual channels. Make sure it's constructive feedback, though, is my only addendum to this. Constructive feedback about how the new mechanics can be improved, not just, I don't like this, change it back to the old mechanic. That's not a productive way of giving feedback for this kind of issue. The one other weird thing is that villagers who were recently attacked by zombies have a higher chance of spawning an iron golem, which makes perfect sense in the context of a village, because if a village has one iron golem when it generates, but then potentially needs another iron golem to help defend some of the villagers, great. As for iron farms, that effectively leads to either not very practical designs or designs where you're torturing villagers. You let a zombie loose every now and again to increase the iron golem spawn rates, but it hurts the villagers. Potentially some of them die. That messes up the amount of villagers you have in the cells. It all gets a little bit confusing and not particularly practical. So that mechanic, while it does increase iron golem farms, doesn't seem sustainable for, long-term iron farming. So people are still trying to suggest ways that can be improved. Aside from that, baby villagers now play in villages, so they actually have little behaviors before they go to work, I guess. There have been some small back-end improvements to villager AI and trading. Cut sandstone and cut red sandstone is now available, including slab forms, so I guess that's now available in survival. You can smelt stone to get smooth stone. You can probably smelt sandstone to get cut sandstone, even though it's not smooth sandstone, which is a little bit weird. The names of sandstone just end up confusing me at this point. And aside from that, they have rewritten the sound system. So I guess this has reduced some stuttering, according to the changelog, when playing sounds. So maybe if there's like a ton of cows in an area, instead of the cows all sort of the sound effects interrupting each other, maybe they kind of moo over each other a little bit more. I don't know if I like that or not, but then I haven't really seen exactly what the effect is. So it's either going to be a cacophony of sound or maybe just like some conservation of sound, so it's not like every noise is cutting off another noise. I know I've noticed that recently when flying over an area where I've either got a lot of villagers or a lot of cows, the sound of my elytra completely disappears because all of the like sound effect buffer room is taken up by whatever animals are making noise underneath me, and the elytra sound doesn't kick in again until I start flying somewhere else. So maybe the sound system is going to improve occasional issues like that.
I've had that happen too, and it's not until you mentioning flying over livestock that I'm realizing, oh my gosh, that's exactly where it happens every time. I didn't realize it was the other animals.
It happens to me over my barn and over my trading hall where I've got a ton of villagers all muttering to each other, basically.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I'm all down for, some sound revamps. I've certainly had some issues here and there where it kind of breaks the immersion when something kind of half plays, like instead of a cow mooing, it just kind of goes moo. And you're like, what happened there? Yeah. Can a cow get your tongue? How'd that go?
You expect to go in there and see somebody disguised as a cow trying to blend in and just making whatever noises come to mind.
Yeah, really though.
Also, the nitwit can just mimic sounds and just go crazy.
I feel like them and parrots just hanging out would be great.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard some custom sound packs for villagers where someone has recorded them making silly noises and then replaced the villager noises. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's more annoying or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it has the Owen Wilson WoW soundtrack going over every time a villager talks. Wow.
That's actually pretty good.
That should be a thing.
If it's chosen at random and it's not the same like clip over and over again, that would be pretty good. I'm sure that could be done with like a data pack or something.
Definitely.
Sausage, I know you're more of a builder than you are really a technical player, although correct me if I'm wrong. But what are your thoughts on the new stuff coming with this latest Snapshot?
Well, as far as the anything of redstone related, I have no idea. I use redstone for blood on floor grounds, and I have made an occasional chicken cooker, but not on episode 104. But I've made a chicken cooker before. But little things like that.
Shots fired.
Got him. No, but I like basically the slabs and stairs. That's me. That's my jam. So as far as the 114, slabs and stairs, barrels that can make my world look cooler. Anything that can add anything to a landscape and just make it a little more interesting. So barrels, lanterns, scaffold. I'm probably not going to use scaffold for scaffold. It's going to be a bench, but it's fine.
I was saying that on the stream the other day. Like everyone's like, yeah, we have a workable table block in Minecraft now. That's all scaffold is going to be. I'm just going to keep using dirt.
Yeah, because it has that limitation, right? Didn't it increase? It was 6 horizontal. Now it's what, like 8 maybe? Is it?
I think it has been buffed a little bit, yeah, but it's still not as much as like the other blocks which just aren't affected by gravity.
Yeah, I can just use dirt and just insta-mine it. Yeah, it's still going to be faster, I think. I think going up is better, but at least the the horizontals is not as good. But no, I'm ready. I'm ready. I know on the Artisan SMP we switched to a snapshot, so I'm kind of playing with stuff already. But I just wanted to be stable and for them to hurry up, so Optifine can hurry up as well.
Yeah, no, that's the thing too. Yeah, for me, I'm looking at the Bedrock update and all the different stuff that's dropped into their latest, and thinking like, this is where I really feel like Java should get some trickle down updates. Like, I don't feel that all the slabs and stairs should be relegated to 1.14. I feel like you could probably drop a 1.13.3 in there with all the new blocks, right?
Yeah, I think there's the stuff that's, especially materials that are already in the game, it sort of makes sense that once they've got that, which they had it really early in the 1.14 snapshots, just like, well, just let us have those now. Like, it's not gonna break the game to throw those in early.
There's no gameplay, there's no technical thing. It's not gonna trickle down through redstone and change a bunch of stuff. It's not gonna break iron farms. It's like, it's literally just giving block variants. It's not even a new block. It's just like you can now make slabs and stairs and walls out of these particular materials, which, it's taken, now I appreciate that they couldn't do it in 1.12 because of the way that everything was named, and they had to do that big, what was it called, like the flattening, yeah, where they had to do all that. I get that, but now that we're on the other side of that and have been for months, I feel like that it's just a little bit slow on the uptick. And I believe, Jonny, that you do the cut sandstone on the stone cutter.
Oh, right. Is that where you get it?
Yeah,
right.
I think that's how you do
the
it.
stuff.
Oh, and I love that. The stone cutter, you save so much material now. It's like you one for one changes now. It's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just being able to make, put 6 blocks in and get 6 stairs out is just revolutionizing some things. And that's something people put data packs on their servers for as well. So it's nice to improve the ratio there. There's one thing while looking through the Bedrock changelog I went to the Minecraft wiki just to find out what exactly was in this snapshot and in this update, and what was still kind of behind the experimental gameplay toggle, which is something you have to go into options and enable. So that's where a few of the new features are lurking, waiting to be kind of formalized and waiting for feedback. I found something in the changelog that was in a really early Java snapshot, actually. It was in one of the snapshots late last year. The fun thing, chorus flowers can now be broken using ranged weapons. So if you fire an arrow or throw a trident at a chorus flower, the bit at the top that you normally have to like pillar up and break before you break the plant if you want to replant it, can now be broken with an arrow. So you can just shoot down the chorus flowers before you like sweep everything else away with water. So not that people tend to farm purple all that much anyway, but the fact that it can be farmed that way actually makes things way easier. And I was thinking, why wasn't that a thing before? Because that makes perfect sense. And that's been the main obstacle, I think, for chorus plant farms, is the having to pillar up to take down everything manually with an axe or something before you farm everything. So I missed that the first time around and wanted to make a note of it here, because otherwise I will forget about it, and then it's just going to be a really useful thing for when people want to make purple farms.
Yeah, or purple games like that. To me, is a really cool archery game, right? Like your targets
that's
are
the first
always going to be
Yeah,
they're going to be in a different location, so you have to replant the chorus fruit. But boy, do they grow fast! So your game is not going to take too long to reset. You could use water to wash away, the chorus plants once you've victoriously removed all the flowers with your bow, and just, I guess it would be like a timer as to how many can you take down in 60 seconds or something like that. But that could be really quite fun.
You have target practice kind of thing, and dispensers on the side to shoot arrows at them as well. You could, automate it that way, so that whenever stuff gets up to a certain height, maybe an observer detects it, a wall of arrow dispensers fires, and then that harvests all the flowers automatically. Seconds later, water washes it all away. It's opening up so many options just with tiny changes like that, and I think that's a really good like update to the way that plant behaves.
I think you still have to replant things manually.
Yeah, but you can still automate the collection of those. And before, if you washed away one purple plant without taking those flowers down, then you couldn't replant it at all.
Yeah, you don't have any seeds. Yeah. And it's the same with crops. You can't. There's no auto planting crops unless you have a data pack. Like the dispenser will not plant wheat. You can bone meal wheat, but you can't actually plant a crop. You have to do that by hand.
That
Or
would be way
obviously-
too OP. Imagine if you could do that. Just a dispenser just planting stuff for you. Oh, that would be kind of cool. One dispenser planting and one bone milling it and repeat nonstop.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, there are sort of ways to automatically farm stuff with villagers being able to plant. That was one of the corrections that they made, actually. We had I'm sorry, I don't remember the Spawnchuck member's name, but they had confirmed that in their Java update that the farmers were not planting crops. They were interacting with the compost block, but they were not planting crops. That was addressed and fixed in the B snapshot, I think, for Java. So that his farmers planting crops is an intended behavior, and it was not working in one of the snapshots. But that's planned to be in there as we move forward.
And everybody with a villager powered crop farm just breathes a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I've got 4. Well, speaking of chunk mail, as a matter of fact, we've got an email coming in here. I think it's your week to read this, Johnny.
Yep, this one comes from Beck P. Thank you for your email, Beck. It says, hello there, everyone. I have a quick question for the 3 of you. If you could add any mob to the game and or remove anything, what would it be? Anyway, that's all. Thanks. Have a good day, and thank you for the great content. Thank you for the great email, Beck. Yeah, I've made my thoughts known about like adding mobs in the past. I want more golems in the game. I feel like we have a snow golem, an iron golem. That's kind of it. I want either a clay golem or a quartz one that make clay or quartz renewable. Although I'm pretty sure the stonemason does both of those in the forthcoming update. So I think some sort of like earth golem that you could find inside of hills or something would be kind of nice. I think I've seen mods that do something like that. So maybe that's where I'm getting the idea from. But yeah, I've mentioned that on the show before, so I don't want to dwell on my ideas. How about you guys? What do you think mob wise could be added?
Sausage, go ahead.
Oh
man.
yeah, no, I had a list, but I had to bring it down because we don't have time for this. I had a list of like 30 different things I want. No, but I decided on 2 different mobs, a passive and a hostile one, because it wasn't specific. But thank you, Beck, for what an amazing question. But as far as a passive mob, there's 11 cats in this game. Okay, what happened to all my dogs?
I was going to say, I know what's coming. Where the dogs at?
I'm a puppy boy, okay? I have 2 dogs in my house. They're literally in my single-player world. Baby and Bubbles that's my family, okay? I want my family in my game, okay? I want dogs, okay? 11. Who picked cats first? Let's do a poll. Who likes cats more than dogs, and who likes dogs more than cats? Dogs will win, okay? You know, somebody at Mojang, there's an agenda. And it's okay. I love them anyways. It's fine. But I want dogs. I want Labradors, German Shepherds, Huskies, Yorkies. Okay. I want dogs in the game. If they have 11 cats, give me 11 dogs. Okay, please.
I can think of several past guests that would agree with you. Wells Knight and Whip both, I think, mentioned dog breeds being kind of on their priority list as well. So you're definitely not alone. And I imagine, yeah, there's a substantial portion of our audience. We've seen a few cat pictures pop up in the pet spam, but we've seen just as many dogs, I think.
Yeah, man, if Whip can get Coda in the game, come on. We got to get Coda and Bubbles in the game together, playing together, having fun. So that's number one. I don't care about anything else. And then also a hostile mob. We need more bosses, but not like top tier bosses like the dragon or the wither or the elder guardian. We need maybe mid tier mob bosses, like say a mummy for like a desert temple, or like a really OP witch for witch huts, or maybe almost like a super zombie or something, like a big thick zombie or something, like in a jungle temple, something like that. Like mid tier bosses that give you a little bit more loot normally, but serve a purpose to like what we have in existing locations like temples and witch huts and stuff like that. That'll be kind of cool to see.
I kind of think, why aren't husks mummies to begin with? Because husks being those kind of sand zombies, I feel like somebody must have reskinned them as mummies already, I expect.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
In a resource pack somewhere. But like, I get that now it kind of makes sense because of husks like going into water and kind of rehydrating and turning back into zombies. I kind of like that there's connectivity between those, but a lot of people have that complaint that, you know, if something new gets added to the game, it's another variant of zombies. So I definitely like the idea of reaching out into other horror movies if you want to go for like the kind of classic horror that's not really all that scary and go with something like The Mummy. I think that'd be kind of cool.
It'd be neat if, you know, random chance that the bats that you find in caves could just kind of like poof and turn into a vampire.
There we go.
Remember the old Warner Brothers cartoons where I think, did they have to say abracadabra? I can't remember what it was, but there's this one Bugs Bunny cartoon and the bat was constantly changing into a vampire back and forth when someone would say a magic word, and it was absolutely hilarious. And it would kind of like do this great big poof animation, and that would be really fun if it was added to the game.
I like that idea. I like it going kind of classic. What is it? The Universal movie monsters kind of thing. Like diving into that well a little bit.
Yeah, like Swamp Thing and
me and Sausage are covering Swamp Thing right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I see something coming out of that swamp. That thing is scary sometimes at night.
Yeah.
Just covered in seagrass. And yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. We talked a little bit before on the show about ambient mobs. I think birds. I think I would like to see the odd bird flying around when I am walking through and exploring Minecraft. I think it would add a lot of immersion to the game, especially with the sounds, because you wouldn't necessarily have to have all the sounds tied to one single bird model. You could have one odd bird fly here and there, but you could have the chirping happening no matter where you were in the forest, right? Like that kind of stuff would be a fairly straightforward thing to add. And I think things like sparrows and chickadees in the woods, maybe seagulls, when you're on the coast or in an ocean biome, and then maybe even vultures in the desert, like walking across a giant desert and hearing that classic kind of like caw, like there's nothing around, right? You almost want a tumbleweed to blow by, that kind of stuff. And I've been in a desert. That's a real thing that happens, and it is very unnerving. It takes you back to those scenes in movies where people have been alone in the desert for weeks, and you're like, wow, okay, I kind of want to go back to my car now. But
I feel like it'd add something to the ecosystem of a desert as well. Imagine there's like rotten flesh laying around from a husk that you've killed, and as a vulture just comes down and like swipes it like carrion.
Yeah,
that'd be perfect. That'd be so good. And
exactly.
And there's already precedent for A, flying mobs because we've got phantoms, and B, mobs that kind of play around with item entities because foxes are going to do that. Dolphins already do that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, stuff like that really wouldn't be too hard to add the occasional vulture into deserts. Get on it, Mojang 1.15.
Please.
Yeah.
You know what, too? You can add almost like the turtle egg functionality and have like little nests, and the eggs are nesting. And maybe if you hit the nest, you get like items from it, like either like some bone meal or some sticks or something like that, too, to add even more. Like you can get drops from these guys. That'd be kind of cool.
I never thought about drops. There was one thing I knew is usually a thing where people complain about a mob being added to the game that does not add any kind of functionality or gameplay, like for polar bears, that sort of thing. But I don't know. I don't know if I would need a drop from a bird per se. But I think a nest would be a neat idea where you could, collect eggs or collect sticks, or I don't know what else you could potentially do. Or even maybe the nest would be a way to attract cats. Like maybe cats are attracted to birds' nests, something like that. Something I was also thinking about it when you mentioned dogs, Sausage, is that I wonder if the reason why it's late for them to add different dog breeds is that different cats, you can generally reskin the same cat model and show different cat breeds, whereas different dog breeds, you generally have to change the model. Like some dogs like German Shepherds and Labradors and Huskies, you could probably get away with the same model, but in other cases, like smaller dogs or larger dogs, you'd have to really have them remodeled. I wonder if that's a bottleneck.
I'm guessing that has to be the reason, because pretty much every cat is the same model, just retextured. But yeah, I'm guessing that would be pretty difficult. I don't know. Just let's just tell him to call our friend Germsy Boy, and he'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
Either that, or they reskin the existing dogs, and you just have this like man-sized Yorkshire Terrier.
Yeah,
just this giant Yorkie, absolutely, like rideable-looking thing.
Yes.
Well, true to form with our roundtable discussions, we would like to invite our guest to go first. So, what topic have you brought to the table this week, Sausage?
Oh man, I got a fun one. Well, we already 114 is coming. 114 is already on the way. But what better thing to do than just to look forward past all that and where are we going next? And so that's like my favorite thing to do. Why not? We do it for everything. We see a really good movie. It's like, when is the sequel coming out? But I really want to touch on the fact, a lot of people have been hinting, I believe Python was one of the first people I heard on Twitter was actually mentioning it, that what if the next update is a combat update? Because they're holding back on the the fletching table and the smithing table, so that has maybe something to do with what possibly could be combat related. So I was thinking, what would I want to see in a combat update? Even though we don't really. Okay, let's be honest. Let's whisper, okay, so nobody can hear. We don't really need it, but it's okay. I'll take it. and it's fine. But let's have fun with it if we're gonna take it. So I'm thinking something that would be pretty cool is, well, number one, before we even get in, add some more slabs and stairs for every block in the game. Thank you. Okay, and then next,
so that we can do combat with them, of course. Take your slab into battle.
Come on, I need. You know, what if I need to put a stair down real fast and it's a concrete stair? I wanted to make it look good while I go up something.
It's basically Fortnite, right? That's how you do Fortnite.
You know, Fortnite taught us a lot, you know, build and combat. So listen, it's fine. But I would like more weapons. If you're going to do combat, let's get more weapons. Let's get more variety. Let's get more. We don't have a lot of projectiles, and snow doesn't count. So let's do some throwing knives in there. Let's get some. I was thinking also, this is just Skyrim coming out of me right now. Okay, I'm getting a little emotional because this would be pretty cool. How about two-handed weapons, long swords, battle axes? I know the people in the PvP community might hate this part, but how about taking longer to charge up for this? Because it's a bigger sword, battle axe, something like that. So take a little longer to charge, but double the damage. Something cool like that. Maybe spears. How about wizard staffs? Okay. How about, I want to be a wizard sometimes, and I wouldn't mind a big old staff. Pretend I'm Gandalf. Do some Gandalf role playing. Okay. So that would be kind of cool with like magical elements and chants on that. Stuff like crafting more armor. Like let me craft chainmail. I don't want to just find it. I want to make it. Or maybe like customizable shields, maybe like a rounded shield, different wood color shields, like you're changing the wood colors on signs. Stuff like that would be kind of cool. There's also examples of if Mojang wants to take a look, our good friends at the Conquest Resource Pack, Monsterfish, made an awesome list of customizable weapons that are just amazing. You just pretty much just rename a sword into this A, B, C, whatever weapon, and it reskins it. So there's so many examples out there of how it could look. So there's super cool that you can actually take a look and see how it's possible. And then also, I don't know if this is the thing, and if this would be, I don't know, something that maybe would be pretty cool. How about adding like RPG elements to your combat and your swords, and maybe like level up your armor, level up your weapon as you go on using it. That would be kind of cool. Maybe your sword is like a level 1 right now. It doesn't do as much damage, but the more you use it, you upgrade that sword, and you're able to do more things with it and have more damage, have more added bonuses to it. So something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing a bunch of stuff out there. Hopefully one of those stick.
It sounds good. Like the RPG Elements thing, when I was doing the Harmony mod pack with Python, we actually had a mod on there that I forget if it was level up or if it was levels 3. There were 2 different mods. One of them did like player skills, and the other one was all about the tools and armor you got, and it all gave it different attributes. So you could get like the kind of mythical, exotic, legendary kind of armor that would have way more than your standard piece of diamond armor that was just common or uncommon kind of stuff. And I had an axe there that was a rare axe that I think did 12 damage instead of 9 right out the gate, and then it got up to level 10, and by the end of it, it was doing 21 damage, and I could just one-shot basically anything except the Wither. And I thought that was fantastic fun, and it really made me feel more ownership of the tools a little bit more. Like, I was so attached to that axe, it became like a meme for half of the series. I think that kind of stuff is really great. The other thing, you mentioned wizard staffs. I kind of wonder if maybe some of the development on Minecraft Dungeons, the upcoming dungeon crawler title that they announced at the last Minecon, is potentially going to shift their focus towards more of like an RPG style system where there are different classes that you can play. I feel like that's the fleshing out of combat that you might want from a game like Minecraft. And it's the kind of thing that you've seen already implemented in servers like Winecraft that have to do it with like command blocks and heavy kind of data pack inspired stuff. But you could definitely implement a system like that, incorporate a bit more of a magical element that fits in with Minecraft's existing systems of enchanting and brewing. I think there's potential for that. I would really like to see that.
I'm looking at these weapons that you linked from the Conquest Resource Pack. It's really cool. Is this must have to be a mod, right? Like this isn't.
No, it's not even a mod. It's basically just a resource pack. You can just use it on anything. I think they upgraded to 113, so it's available there. And then you basically just have the resource pack on, and you rename your item. Like, let's say you rename your sword to a long sword, and it'll in an anvil. Once you do it, it automatically turns into that model, and you can just rename it over and over again, and it changes to that specific
So it's something that you need Optifine to do, presumably, because that's how you get the custom kind of models in there.
Yeah, interesting. They must have, because I know that MBT data took a big change rolling over from 1.12 to 1.13, and I had some plans for similar kind of customization with Elytra, and it wouldn't work anymore. But now that they've got custom model data in there, a lot of data pack developers and texture pack people, authors are using it. They all look really cool. Some of them are really high resolution. Like some people might find it clashes with if they've got a low res texture pack. But even like I wouldn't necessarily want to be running around and using these, but I would love to have them decorating. Like to put a big sword in like an item frame or a armor stand that you could then have it look like there's a couple of cool swords hanging on the wall in your armory, or something, just like one sword, and specifically these shields, like having a round Viking shield or a diamond shaped kind of like an English style medieval shield would be really, really cool compared to just the square plank that you get in default Minecraft. It adds just a lot of stuff to the game that doesn't really affect gameplay. Like you're not going to have, these models are going to not affect gameplay. I know what you're saying. You're saying that add some different timing and stuff. And I would be the person that would walk around the caves with a longsword. I would much rather charge up a sword and try to end a zombie once than try to hit them twice, right?
Plus, if you have sweeping edge, you could take like a whole mess of them,
nice.
whole horde of them together. If you have like
a berserker orc on the top of the wall at gosh, I'm blanking. The Two Towers battle, Helm's Deep.
Oh, yes.
Like they get up on top of the wall. They just start swinging left and right. That would be great. Taking out 5 or 6 zombies at a time, just like tear through them all.
That'd be so cool. And then, most of the stuff wouldn't really take anything really to as far as gameplay changes. Well, just the timing probably, but just for aesthetics and stuff. I don't know. We've had the same sword, the same axe, the same everything for so long. It'd be kind of cool to have some way to customize weapons and make it a little bit more unique, more your own, just like that axe was on Harmony, something like that, just to make it feel a little more unique.
I feel like the Tridents tried to do a little bit like that, where you've got like channeling, and so you can kind of call down lightning. That would be really cool if you could have the wizard staff also be a new ranged weapon, like add, not have just bows and arrows and crossbows, but actually be able to, shoot fireballs or freeze mobs. Like, what a great way to like if you're a new player and you don't like combat, well, then maybe you should grab a wizard staff and have your main spell be freeze something, so you can just freeze something's feet to the ground and then run away.
Having tinkered around a little bit with Thorncraft in a couple of mod packs, that's great fun. Having a wand that you can specialize to different like skills. There's even a mode of a Thorncraft wand that specializes in building and allows you to make holes through stuff, so you can make an instantaneous door through the side of a building if you want to go in without there being a door on it, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, having flame-based spells or ice-based spells, like it makes a certain amount of sense. We've already got kind of the nether and ice planes and that kind of stuff. It could draw from the elements of the land in a way, in a Magic the Gathering kind of way, I guess.
It'll make sense. Yeah, and I know System Z did I think he created almost like a data pack for what it would look like for a wizard to be a thing in Minecraft. So I do believe he did a video on it that it looked very practical. Like you don't want to have your wand or your wizard staff be too OP, so it really is limited to just like one specific enchant. And then I believe he made one from that was an ice one that was like a teleporting one, almost like if you're shooting an ender pearl, but no ender pearl really goes out. You're just aiming your staff somewhere, and it teleports you to a certain location. Stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool. I would play around with that. I think that would be the only thing I'll have. I wouldn't even have a sword.
No, and especially because if it translates into something that could also be used in multiple different ways in the game, like if you're using a teleportation staff, you could use it to very easily get around builds, right? Like you could use it instead of Elytra if you wanted to get up and see your build from a specific vantage point, or if you want to get up on top of that roof because you forgot to place that one tile and it's driving you crazy. Then rather than try and lob an ender pearl in the right direction, you could use the wizard staff, which is just a cooler way of teleporting around.
And what if it'll take maybe levels from you, or that would be cool. Like let's say you have to have the levels to use it, so you're almost like your mana goes down whenever you use it. That'd be kind of cool.
Nice.
Because we already use those for enchanting as well. That seems like a system that makes canonical sense with what we already have in Minecraft.
All right, Screw it. I want it now.
Let's go.
Cancel 1.14. Give us 1.15 now.
Now.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's funny. Jonny, what did you have to bring to the table this week?
This week, I actually offered up 2 different choices to the folks in our Discord. One of the Patreon goals that we have hit recently is to have our patrons be able to vote on different topics. In fact, we actually just passed our milestone goal that allows the Discord minor levels who pledged to us on Patreon to vote on these topics as well. So I set that up, and there were 2 ones, and the one that won out was a question that came up on a recent live stream, because somebody came into my chat and asked if it was considered cheating to switch their single-player world to peaceful mode if they were in danger. They said that sometimes, they like the challenge of survival, but being in situations where there are hostile mobs bearing down on them kind of stresses them out, and they get anxious and they get paranoid. And of course, at the time, I was like, well, if it's going to affect your mental health, then yes, of course, switch to peaceful mode. This is a game that's meant to be enjoyed. But I thought we could unpack that a little bit and talk about using other cheats, like stuff like keep inventory, or even switching to creative mode. Now, personally, in the survival guide world, I only switch to spectator mode to take screenshots, and then I go straight back to survival mode. I've talked a little bit about keep inventory, and I haven't used it. As we heard earlier from the fact that all my inventory got destroyed in the creeper explosions. But I want to talk a little bit about that side of Minecraft, because being survival players primarily, we don't tend to talk about that stuff all that much. But how do you guys feel about it? Do you feel like it is cheating, or do you feel like it's just more like an adaptation of gameplay?
Cheating! Stop cheating! Stop it! Take your beating like a strong person. Just fight. Okay, if you die, you die. No, it's. I don't think so. It's switching to peaceful. If you're in danger, you're about to die. Okay, is it cheating? But who are we to say? These are very philosophical questions. Is it or is it not cheating? Is there anybody watching you? Okay, if you do it and nobody sees it, it's not cheating. Okay, it's technically cheating.
I feel like you're making a sort of contract with yourself. You're the only one that you've got to impress.
Yeah, who are you? Unless somebody's watch. I don't know. I think the only thing that would be maybe considered cheating is if you bring in blocks that you didn't mine yourself in a survival world. That's cheating. Maybe let's say you died and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have died. That was a mistake. I'm just gonna spawn in all my items that I lost. Yeah, that could be considered cheating, maybe. Going on spectator mode, I go on spectator mode to take. There's no replay mod for 113, so I am my own replay mod. Okay, so I'm there swerving in the cinematic camera mode and stuff. So if that's cheating, then put me in Minecraft jail. But no, I don't. I think it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Do you want to lose your stuff or do you want to keep your stuff? If you're happy with it, if you have a peace of mind that you're not going to lose your things if you do die. Who cares? Just go. Have fun. As long as you're having fun playing the game, who cares?
And I find it kind of interesting when you include the fact that, for a start, they are called cheats when you enable them at the start of, in the creation of a Minecraft world. And that's the thing that I'm a little bit hung up on right now, is the terminology used for them is enabled cheats, when really, a lot of the time what you're doing is it's commands. People understand command prompt as a kind of a separate thing. And yes, you can use it to, enable yourself to fly and so forth, but I don't know if that's really considered cheating in a sandbox game. I feel like if Minecraft had a progression and a story in a stronger sense, then maybe cheat codes to get you to different levels and that kind of stuff make a little bit more sense. But I feel like maybe a term like cheats is maybe not one that really applies here. Perhaps.
Yeah, I think that the menu item calling it enable cheats just kind of puts you in that mindset and then brings up the questions. I was reminded when I was streaming from the Realm of Aston a couple weeks ago that Fixit was in the chat and he said hey, don't forget you have access to spectator mode and you can absolutely use it to not just take screenshots. If you are trying to figure out the shape of this tree and you want to fly around with not having to worry about constantly flying into something at 60 miles an hour with your elytra, and actually having the time to look and take in the lines that you've created, then switch to spectator mode. That's what it's for. That's okay on the server. And it's just one of those weird things that I just mentally I'm OP on the Citadel. It's the server that I run. I can do anything I want in there. And I very rarely even allow myself to go into spectator mode. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's the mentality that I have. The few times that I've done it, it's been to like lag bust, try to figure out, why is the frame rate 2 in this area? There's got to be a zombie holding, or 8 mobs holding items that I can't see or can't find. And sometimes it just boils down to the amount of fun that you're having in the game. Do you want to spend 2 hours looking for this problem in survival, or do you want to enable spectator and just find it in 5 minutes and call it done so that you can get back to having fun? I know that I mentioned this. I think I might have mentioned this in the pre-show, but I was watching some Satisfactory gameplay on Exumovoid's stream. Excellent content, and there was a point where he died, and I can't remember the term. You guys can refresh my memory if you know this, but they called it save diving or save scumming.
People call it save scumming. Yeah,
save scumming. Yeah.
Very much a term from like the kind of competitive gaming and speedrunning community.
Sure.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. So this was a new term to me, but he went on and explained it. And what he did was he went back about 5 minutes ago and loaded up an autosave, which, by the way, that game having autosaves is brilliant. Like, that's a fantastic thing that it has, because he felt that he died because of a glitch. The game is in early access, and he went to jump on a platform, an island, and he felt he nailed it. I feel like he did, and he still got pushed off to the side and felt it was doom. And it was just like that he wasn't milling around. It's not like he ran off and did something stupid. He didn't drive a truck off a cliff. Like, that was the game killing him, not him making a mistake. And that was where he drew the line. He's like, well, I could spend the next 20 minutes on stream getting all my stuff back, or we could just load this up and continue having fun together. And I think that's where you need to draw the line. Like, if it's something where you and server mates have agreed that, well, we're going to enable, spectator account. Maybe people even have access to creative for, specific reasons, because they need to be able to create command blocks and place them in the world for whatever you're doing on your server. If you have an agreement across a multiplayer server that said, hey, look, just don't give yourself, 64 stacks of diamonds and all that kind of stuff, then I think that it's just really on you. In a single player world, it's more about how you feel. Like, if you're going to brag to your friends that you've created this thing in survival, make sure that you've done the work honestly. I think that's for me where it becomes cheating, is when something is dishonest. If it's part of the game and the game allows you to do it, I'd say go for it.
Yeah. And there's even a case where, like, for example, if you've spawned a wither, which is usually pretty destructive and it gets out of control, having an admin kill that with commands, you don't get a nether star from that, so you're not really gaining anything.
Right.
And calling that a cheat, I think, is personally like a misnomer, because then you're effectively preserving the server from being completely destroyed, and from stuff to get destroyed unfairly that other people have built is not a great thing to have happen.
No, exactly. Even on a single player world, I mean, if you've put hours and hours into something and you do something that completely breaks it or gets destroyed, I'm not talking about a single creeper. I'm talking about something like a wither getting loose on your beautiful town that you just finished. Well, sure. Like, I think that's, I mean, there's no difference than going back to a save that you might have had from, a week ago and just reloading from there. I think that it equates to, is it something that would make you not want to play the game because of some unfortunate thing that happened? And if that's the case, then I think backing up or enabling peaceful mode, like if you just got your first elytra and you're being mobbed and you're going to die, I would switch to peaceful, just because like that just is not a fun thing, right?
Yeah,
especially all the work you did to get there too. It's just pillaring, and just your first elytra is like one of the most important things. Is you're not going to go pillar to another end city, because this is hard to find already. So I understand with that one. But then would you consider turning fire tick off a cheat? I bet some people probably do also. Fire tick off, mob griefing off. They're considering those. There's some strict people out there. They got to go buy the book. You take that off, and automatically you're a cheater.
Yeah, and like having it be like 100% default, not modified in the slightest kind of thing. I imagine there's some people, like Azuma even called the Optifine zoom key cheaty zoom. Like, he kind of got, I think that's more like a thing that he's just gotten used to saying at this point. But I'm like, yeah, I guess maybe in like PvP combat conditions, maybe it's considered cheating. But for me, it's like a thing that I can use to demonstrate, like, look over there and just really zoom in on something. It makes perfect sense for video making. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it doesn't feel like a cheat to me. There's one other thing I briefly wanted to touch on before we move on, is that on Bedrock Edition, and the ones that are tied to Xbox platforms specifically, the Xbox achievements get disabled if you enable certain settings like keep inventory. I think this used to be the case even with coordinates up until quite recently. I say quite recently. I think I looked this up and it was more like a year or so ago. But from what I remember, the versions I remember, if you enable coordinates, then it disables all the achievements. And that feels weird to me because that's kind of punishing people for stuff that should be a little bit more accessible in the game anyway, and could maybe be considered more accessibility settings than, actual cheats and kind of aids to helping them play the game. Like coordinates especially, like I find that restricting access to those means that you can't link up nether portals reliably and stuff like that. So there are definitely occasions in which I find coordinates essential, and hiding those behind some sort of wall whereby you basically admit I am a cheater and I don't deserve the achievements feels a little bit wrong to me. And they have made changes to that more recently to make some of those things that are more kind of, accessibility things a little bit less strict on achievement blocking. But I think keep inventory is still one that does that. So it's an interesting discussion to have. And I'd like to hear more opinions about that, but I want to move on to Joel's discussion before we wrap up this episode.
Sure, and this actually has a similar kind of vibe to it. I've been messing around with data packs recently, and my topic is related to data packs versus modded Minecraft and where the line is. So after watching a recent Waddles video where he showcased Tables and Chairs by Chuck, I actually downloaded the pack, really thought it could be quite useful in the Citadel and some of the other future plans that we have on the server. But I thought also that I wanted to put my own personal touch on it and try to make it feel as vanilla Minecraft as possible. Chuck did a great job on the pack, and it's ingenious the way that it's implemented, in that the chairs are essentially put on the head of an armor stand, and then that is lowered so that it looks like the chair is on the ground. And one of his chairs, his oak chair, looked very, very close to default Minecraft. In the same way that you look at how an oak fence is created, this oak chair was basically an oak fence, but in the shape of a chair. And I thought, if some of his other models were more ornate and they were in greater detail, and I thought, well, maybe I'll dial these back and see if I can't get the same sort of model, try to have some sort of design continuity. It was a fun challenge to myself. I've been wanting to learn how to use a block modeler forever, so I got into Blockbench. I quickly found how easy it was to add custom models, to tweak texture. I knew how easy it was to tweak textures, but to add custom models and have them look like Minecraft and have them look like they fit in the game, if you're taking the time to make things very simply. Like, for a good example, I tried to very much limit any kind of small movement nudges and small design elements in these things. I went for, if you look at a Minecraft block, it's a 16 by 16 default kind of like quote unquote Minecraft pixel block. So I didn't want to make anything that was less than 1 Minecraft pixel. So, like the chairs have got thick legs, and the seats have got a thick seat on them. And so it's meant to look like it fits within the game. And so that was a challenge that I laid out for myself. But I was wondering what you guys thought. At what point do you think data packs push the idea of vanilla outside of the current definition? Because this isn't a mod. This is something that you can run in any version of the game, provided that the data pack is written in the way that takes advantage of the features that are available. So whether it's 1.13 or 1.14, most of them now use what's called custom model data, which is the new version of MBT data. And that is something where you don't even need to rename something on an anvil. You can create a custom recipe, like creating a chair shape out of quartz blocks, and then give the player essentially an item in the game. In this case, it's a trapdoor, but the trapdoor is then given custom model data. The game is told, if it has custom model data X, then display the chair, not the trapdoor. And it doesn't replace the trapdoor. So you can still craft a trapdoor and use a trapdoor the same way you always would. But if you craft this specific kind of trapdoor, it redisplays as a chair. And it means that you could add any block that you want in any format that you want to the game. So I'm wondering, where do you guys feel data packs kind of cross over into well, this is essentially modded. It's just that I don't have to download a mod. I don't have to run 1.12 in order to use it.
What do you think, Sausage? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the second you modify anything, even if it's a data pack, is no longer vanilla. I think even the data pack, I think it's an easy way to mod. So without having to have Forge, without having to have all these other launchers, it's just I think for me, any and all data packs are considered modding Minecraft. So I think they're all mods, even though it's considered like a data pack. But it brings so much to the game that I love it, because we should have tables and chairs in Minecraft. We have beds. Why not have tables and chairs? Because why? I want to sit down sometimes. And you get tired. You don't want to have to run around all over the place. You want to sit down in the chair. I would love that. That's super cool. And I did see that Waddles video. It was super funny, though, that when you sit on a chair, it's almost like you're sitting on a pig in a saddle. So you see the little saddle bits on the bottom. That's super fun. That was awesome. But I did see that. It's really, really cool. But I just love the fact that data packs exist, because it makes it easier just to add all these awesome features to your vanilla experience. It's super awesome. And I think, I don't know if it really if it does anything to Mojang's side of things. If they see these things happen, it's like, whoa, that's pretty cool. How do you do that? Oh, we can add that to, we might be able to add that to vanilla, and that just gives more hope for the future, that you don't need a data pack for it, and maybe that comes to the real game. But for me, I think really anything that goes above the vanilla experience, it's modern Minecraft. It's for me, it's the same, which is not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing, and I love it. We need more data packs, please, more.
I think there are three different perspectives I can take on this. I think my personal philosophy is closest to what Sausage just said about like everything that is outside of vanilla. Once you start adding stuff in data pack wise, then that's modifying the game. Therefore, it feels like modded Minecraft, right? There is the philosophy that it becomes modded Minecraft when you are coding something in Java that isn't kind of provided for you by an existing Minecraft kind of interface. Like, so data packs are effectively part of what could be considered a modding API that's more like part of the vanilla game. So you're coding stuff in JSON and you're kind of working on stuff like that, as opposed to it being like a mod that people are writing from scratch that has to be made compatible through Forge, that kind of thing. There's like a hard line there of like, well, if you need a mod loader to install it, then that's clearly modded, whereas everything else is still very much a data pack. And then I think there is that almost like homemade approach. Like you were saying, you craft something in the shape of a chair. The item it gives you is basically like a trapdoor with a bunch of data. That feels like it can't quite be modded because it's still using so many of the vanilla Minecraft components to make something, even if the block model that it then puts down is the same. And block models effectively seem a little bit more like resource pack style. People have been using stuff like that for ages, and maybe they're modifying the behavior of it slightly, but it's still, it fits in with the world a little bit. Whereas with mods, they can add whole new items into the game without replacing anything or having to rely on existing stuff that's in the game. So you don't have to worry too much about my industrial craft furnace isn't going to just be like a weird cobbled together reskin of an existing furnace.
Yeah.
So there's that angle on it. But I think, what I think is probably closest to what Mythical Sausage thinks, like it's just, if it starts to modify gameplay, if it starts to add new stuff in, it's effectively a new brand of modded Minecraft at that point.
Yeah, and I my definition is a little bit more gray, because I'm really enjoying these chairs, and I am essentially making a resource pack, which is vanilla. So, or widely considered vanilla. So it's one of those things where all of this is available in the game. I'm just simply saying, no, instead of model X, display model Y. It's combined with a data pack, and that's how you get the tables and chairs, the variations of them. Specifically the tables, Chalk created a hammer where if you right click on the table, it cycles through the different kinds of legs. So it can have 4 legs, a pedestal, it can have 1 leg in the corner, or 2 legs on one side. And that means that if you wanted to combine 2 or more tables together, you don't have legs in the middle, like you just have legs on the end, like a regular table. Think like a long board table or something like that in an office, right? Anyway, for me, I was thinking about it as like you could do a lot of stuff with custom recipes, and there's even an example in Germsy Boy's texture pack where, because it's a medieval texture pack, end rods have got no place. There's no use for them. You're just not using them. So he's remodeled them into being a lantern, right? Which is before they even announced a lantern from 1.14. And that to me still feels very vanilla. Like that to me doesn't feel like it's really outside the realm of reason, because it's not affecting gameplay, right? Now, for me, if someone wrote a data pack for, like, say, a wizard staff, that to me would feel more like modded. Whereas if someone just writes a data pack that says, for example, maybe you've got a resource pack that changes the flat models in the game, like, because I use one that's a resource pack that changes like tracks rails and ladders and vines, and gives them like a little 3D bump. Same thing with sugarcane. Instead of a flat pixel plane, they've actually got 4 sides to them. And I feel like that kind of stuff, it's all still textured like vanilla, so it's not really breaking anything there. It feels a little bit less 2009, for me. And that kind of stuff doesn't really break it for me. But for me, it's more of a gameplay line. I feel like if a data pack changes the way, like if an Elytra was given to you that didn't require rockets, or, one rocket would allow you to fly forever, like that to me would be like, that's pushing boundaries. Whereas just, changing the model of an Elytra and changing the way that it looks, giving a player more options in that realm, it's again, and that's the kind of thing, like, you don't even see it. It's only your server mates that are going to see it, in most cases. So,
and I was thinking about something like that too, from like my world, like my single player world. But then I thought, because I do world downloads like every episode 25, if somebody were to download this world and they don't have that data pack, they're gonna see a trapdoor on the floor that could have been a chair, but it's literally a trapdoor sitting on the floor. It's like, what is this for? Did he mess up with his build? So something like that. The only thing is germs. I use germs pack in my single player world. Is I did switch it to my world to default the other day, and I was like, I have a lot of end rods poking out of weird places. What is this? And it's like, it's a lantern. And I tell people, make sure if you're going to download it, this was made with germs pack. Okay, so this is how it should have looked. But if you didn't download germs pack, I'm sorry, but it still looks good. But every once in a while, you're going to see a weird end rod poking out of some side of some house. But pretend it's a lantern. That's it.
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of thing where, if you're going to do that kind of thing, you just have to say, hey, look, I play with this data pack and it's publicly available. Here's how to download it and use it yourself. And if you want to download, the world and check it out, then same thing. They do that with Realm of Aston, where they say, hey, this is a Realm of Aston data pack. If you do want to come on here, you really have to use this pack. For me, the other thing that I think would be less cheaty is something like vanilla custom recipes for blocks that are available in creative but are not available in vanilla yet. So we're getting them, like the cut sandstone and the smooth sandstone and the smooth double slabs. Like, those are all coming in 1.14. But as soon as data packs were available and those blocks were available in creative but not survival, one of the first things that I saw out there was a data pack that allowed you to then make a crafting recipe that made sense, that followed the vanilla formula, and gave you those blocks in survival. And we use it on the Citadel, and it's great. You feel like you're using 1.14 blocks in some cases, because it's not craftable yet in survival. But
and these data packs too, that I think that, like I was saying before, it could be like inspiring motion, because a lot of these data packs that are existing now, that you don't need them next update because of the adding the stone cutter. Yeah. You had all these data packs that doubled the amount of stairs you get, or even we had the stair. We had, I believe there was a stair one. There was one for the double slab. There's one for the smooth stone slab. So a lot of these is, I don't know, are they getting these? Are they actually listening to the community? That's awesome. As people say that they probably don't, but they do. I have a feeling they got a lot of inspiration from, and a lot of the stuff we're seeing now are probably inspired from the modded community. And you never know, you'll see something that you didn't expect. They'll be considered, they're considered modded now, but they'll be vanilla like next year. It's pretty cool.
You never know, right? You never know. All right, I think that's probably going to wrap up this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Spawn Chunks, and Mythical Sausage, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us for today's round table. If people want to find you online, where can they go if they want to know how the sausage is made?
Oh, yes, I will tell you right now, and thank you for having me. No, but you can just go to The Mythical Sausage on YouTube. Put the "the" in the front. It's pronounced "the," not "the." Mythical Sausage on YouTube, or take away the "the" or the and just put Mythical Sausage on Twitter. I'm there too, as well.
Fantastic stuff. All right, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you again for listening to this episode of the Spawn Chunks. You can find more information about the show, links to some of the stuff we talked about today, and of course Mythical Sausage's social links as well at thespawnchunks.com. The music for the show was composed by me, and the Spawn Chunks is proud to be a listener-supported podcast. If you get some value out of the show, why not consider putting some value back in? You might even get a chance to vote on upcoming roundtable discussions. You can visit patreon.com/thespawnchunks to join our community, where pledging at any level will get you an invite to our patrons-only Discord chat and get us closer to our next Patreon goal, the Chunk Mail Dispenser, where we go through a bunch of the emails that we receive every week, because we're getting a lot now, and it's really exciting to have your support in coming up with new stuff to talk about on the show. Joel will have the email address for you in a second, but I have an announcement. We have got 74 patrons right now, which is a huge increase from recent weeks, and we have smashed our next milestone goal of $200 per show. Thank you guys so much for your support as always. It's incredible to have this community, and we're going to be working with our patrons to see what the best day and time is to arrange our first quarterly Patreon hangout. Obviously one that fits within our own schedules, but we would love to get as many people in there as possible to hang out with us in Discord voice chat and just shoot the breeze, talk about the show, talk about what we've been doing in Minecraft, all that kind of stuff. I want to say a special thanks to our content engineers as well, Pankua and Yitz1, for supporting this episode. We could not do it without you.
Sharing the podcast with your friends is the easiest way to support the show. You can find us at The Spawn Chunks on Twitter and Instagram, but personal recommendations are by far the best way to share the podcast with friends, server mates, family members, all that kind of good stuff. I was reminded in my Twitch chat the other day that you do indeed have to poke a friend into the arm. It is the best way to get someone's attention and tell them to listen to The Spawn Chunks. You can email the show and tell us what you think is coming to 1.15, the combat update according to MythicalSausage. TheSpawnChunks@gmail.com is how you can do that. Subscribe on iTunes, Android, Stitcher, Spotify, and now YouTube. The RSS feed is linked on thespawnchunks.com, and the patron-only RSS feed is on the Patreon page. That is the only place where you can listen to the render distance, the extended version of this very podcast.
My name is PixelRiffs, and you can find most of what I do at youtube.com/PixelRiffs, where I attempt to make sense of this crazy and wonderful game and build chicken cookers in episode 114 of my series, The Minecraft Survival Guide. Did I say 114? I meant 104. I'm also the voice for the unofficial Hermitcraft recap, which you can find through a quick YouTube search, and I stream Minecraft 3 days a week on Twitch as well. Aside from that, I'm at PixelRiffs on both Twitter and Instagram. Joel, where can people find you online?
Everything that I am doing online is at joelduggan.com. That includes my illustration and design portfolio. If you follow me on Twitch, then you saw me designing a new YouTube avatar for the Logical Geek Boy. We were doing that last Friday, I believe, looking to do more art streams in the near future. You can tune into The Citadel Cafe, where we talk about sci-fi and geeky entertainment. Fun show this week where we talked about a bunch of upcoming movie trailers with Alistair, who's actually on the Citadel server with me. And Comics Coast to Coast, where I interview comic creators, illustrators, and animators. Everything online is just my name: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Just follow me there at Joel Duggan.
Thanks for visiting the Spawn Chunks. The world outside is infinite, but there's only one kind of dog.
Ruff.